Hi everybody, it's Alicia and welcome to tonight's presentation. Just realized I'm starting a little bit late because Greg and I were picking the brains of the special guest we have tonight. So we're really excited to be here with you. We're going to get started here in just a minute. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. And tell me if you're from a country outside of the United States, just type in the country because I want Mike to see our international audience and where you're joining us from. So I just want to show him where we've got some people calling in from. Brendan from the UK, Scott from New Zealand, Farouk from the UK, Danielle from Australia, Al from Zimbabwe, Ross from Singapore, Rosalind from the UK, Erwin from the Netherlands, Michael from Kansas. Kansas does not count, Michael, but I'll let you get away with it this time. Philip from the UK, Eva from Australia, John, Melbourne, Australia, Dante, Australia, Pam, Singapore, Robert from Canada, Lucas from Canada, Chu from London, UK. So, Mike, you can see that we have quite an international audience as well as people from all over the United States. So,
that's awesome. I love it. I was just going to say, I love the webinars are, it's an amazing tool to connect with people all over the world. It's so cool.
It is. And on that note, I'd like to go ahead and welcome Mike. But first, let me do a mic check with Greg Caesar. Greg, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. All right. Sounds good. And Greg and I are so excited for this webinar. So we're excited. We've got pen and paper out, and it's time for you guys to turn off all your distractions, get your pen and paper out, and get ready to focus on what Mike has to present to us today. We're excited that he's here with us, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, for those of you who have been looking forward to this webinar, you're looking forward to it because Mike really is well known as being the local marketer that people go to learn how to position themselves correctly. So he's got such a strong reputation in this industry, and he's such a great teacher. We're excited to have him here. Greg, do you want to say a few words before we get started and turn it over to Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely second what you said. You know, I've been following Mike for a long time. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of his products. And I was saying before the call, out of some of the places where I've purchased Mike's product, he's one of the top 3 to 5 people in terms of good quality content from all that I have purchased when it comes to working with local businesses. So, Mike, kudos to you for putting out great content. I appreciate that because I think it's important when you go through content that you get something out of it. And I've gotten something out of everything you put out. So I want to thank you for giving me something that I can actually enjoy and learn from. So thank you for that.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me here. It's great to be here and great to connect with your audience. So should I go ahead and get going? All right, great.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. Well, hey everybody, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate your time and attention. I know you've got a lot to do in building your business, and so I really do thank you for being here, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that everybody leaves today's presentation with something valuable, something helpful that I hope will be a good positive impact for you leaving here. Certainly any questions that you have during this presentation, I'd appreciate it if you chat them in. I've got somebody from my team on the webinar here and is manning the Q&A box there, and she's going to create a Google Doc for me during this presentation capturing all of your questions, and I'll stick around as long as I can to make sure that I answer any questions that you have at the end of this. So please feel free to chat them in there, and we're going to do our best to address all of them before we wrap up. Okay? So thank you again for joining me. We'll go ahead and kick it off. So today we're going to talk about what I consider to be the perfect local marketing sales system. And to start it off here, what I want to do is just a quick pop quiz. I want to make sure that everybody's awake and we've got our thinking caps on. So we're going to do a little pop quiz here to get things started. So make sure that the blood's flowing here. All right, so first question here, true or false? The sales process is the most important step in establishing a lucrative long-term relationship with the client. True or false on that one? The sales process is the most important step in establishing a lucrative long-term relationship. So I see lots of falses coming in. True, 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 false, 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 true. I don't know, Alicia and Greg, if you look at it, it's probably about a 50-50 split is
Yep,
what
I
I
think
see.
so. That's right.
Yeah, what I see
Yep.
coming in here, which that is not unusual when I've done this presentation in the past. So I'm going to challenge those who said false, and I'm going to say that this is true. And the reason I say this, so I've been selling to small businesses now for about 15 years, and I've sold a variety of services to them. And in my experience, particularly if you are trying to have a consultative relationship with them, so a relationship where you are viewed as an expert and you are viewed as a trusted advisor, which I think is so critical in this business, that the sales process really does set the tone. You know, there's that saying that you only have one chance to make a good first impression, right? And I believe that that is so true. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make in this industry, I believe, is that they take too much of an approach of a stereotypical salesperson. And unfortunately, what that can mean is sometimes, you know, the stereotypical salesperson kind of bends the truth, maybe is overly aggressive to try and get a deal done, things like that. And what that does, in my experience, is that pulls away from your expert positioning. That pulls away from your trusted advisor positioning. And once you've done that, it's hard to establish a new tone for that relationship. So in my experience, this is true. I found that the sales process, the conversations that we have, the language we use, and the expectations we set in those initial conversations with a prospect really do set the tone for that relationship long term. Let's see here, true or false now. Second question, you must be able to make at least $1,000 a month in recurring revenue per client to build a real business as a local marketing consultant to SMBs. And SMBs means small and medium-sized businesses, in case that's new to anybody there. So true or false, you must be able to make at least $1,000. I see a couple of falses. I see a good mix again of falses and truths. I'd say it's probably about 50-50 here. So I'm going to say, again, in my experience, that this is true. Now, there's a caveat here. Let me go back to the question, and I use some specific language here that I think is the reason why this is true. So one, I said a real business, and what I mean by a real business, in my mind, a real business is an asset that you can eventually sell. And I think that you know, we should be building our business with that objective in mind. You know, it's great to have a nice income, but it's even better if you have an asset that you can sell at the end of the day. And I've been through that experience. It's a life-changing experience. And so I think that we should all at least be aiming towards that. In a real business, if you look at a real business, something that is a viable asset, it has all of those you know, things that a real business does, right? It has a real sales team, a real marketing team. It has you know, an office space. It has all that type of stuff. Now, that's not to say that you have to go that route if you don't want to. I know a lot of people get into this business with the objective of, you know, just working from their homes and things like that, and that's perfectly fine. But I still think that you want to generate the kind of revenue that would support those things, because then somebody buying your business looks at it and goes, okay, I've got a real business here. I've got a real asset that's worth something. The other thing is consultant. Consultant. That's an important word. To me, a consultant means that you have an ongoing relationship with the client where you're probably meeting with them on some sort of regularity, advising them, you know, spending time with them, again, as that trusted advisor relationship. That all takes time, and that all has cost to it. And I've found that anything less than $1,000 a month, it's very hard to afford to spend that time with those clients and still make it profitable. So this to me is really a magic number. If you look at any of the companies that are public or about to go public in this space, so like Reach Local, Yodel, those types of companies, you know, $1,500 a month is actually about where they are in average client revenue. and I think that that's pretty instructive. So in my experience, again, true. Certainly there are ways that you can make good money not at $1,000 a month per client, particularly if you have like a more automated product or service that you're offering. So let's see here, true or false. Third question, customers that spend more money with you are tougher customers than those that spend less with you. True or false on that one? False, 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 false. Good. I don't think I see any trues yet. That's fantastic. So what that tells me is that we've got a pretty experienced group on the call here, on the webinar here, because anybody who's dealt with enough customers realizes that it's usually the smaller ones that don't have any money to spend that are the most difficult ones. They're the squeaky wheels. Just because they have less money to spend doesn't mean that they expect less from you. So that's definitely a false. And let's see our final question. A local marketer with excellent sales skills will make more money than a local marketer that has technical expertise, such as being an SEO or PPC expert. What do we think on that one? True, 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 true. True, true, true. Good. I see nothing but trues coming in so far, and that is absolutely, I believe, the truth. And you can take me as an example. I've sold many millions of dollars of marketing services to small businesses, and honestly, I understand SEO, I understand pay-per-click, I understand, concepts around web design and stuff like that, but if you ask me to sit down and do any of those things, that's definitely not my strong suit. My strong suit is marketing my business, it's selling to clients, it's positioning, us as an expert, as a resource in the marketplace that clients want to work with. And that understanding of where my skill sets lie and focusing on that rather than trying to be a technical expert in everything, I think is really what has allowed my business to grow and be successful, the variety of businesses that I've been in. I really believe that sales is the #1 entrepreneurial skill you can develop. I stress that to anybody that I'm talking to, anybody that I know that says, yeah, I'd like to be an entrepreneur too, what do I need to do? It's all about sales. And maybe over time, eventually you become, more of just like a CEO, and you're focused on just running the business instead of actually selling. But in order to get off the ground, in order to get to that comfortable position where you're making good money, it's all about being able to sell. And nobody is going to do that for you, right? You've got to be the person that does that. Billy Blanks, I like to refer to, people I'm sure familiar with him. He had the Pitchman show and had all his awesome infomercials. I used to love watching his infomercials. And he was such a good example. This was a guy who was selling on the boardwalk in Atlantic City for years and then took that to television. And by the time he died, unfortunately, at an early age, but he, had amassed a fortune of, hundreds of millions of dollars simply by being the sales guy. Right? He didn't create any of these products. He was just the guy that said, yeah, I'll put it on TV and I'll pitch it for you and I'll make your sales take off. But because of that, I'm going to take a big percentage of the deal, right? Because he understood that he had the most valuable role in that whole process, because nothing happens until the sale is made, right? So I encourage all of you to really do everything you can to develop those sales skills and do your best to absolutely master them. So in today's presentation, I've got 9 big promises for this presentation. Stick with me to the end. I'm going to share with you a sales system that, in my experience, 1, works no matter what services you're selling. 2, works no matter who you are selling to. So it doesn't matter if you're selling to restaurants, chiropractors, it doesn't matter. 3, shows you exactly what you should be selling to each customer. Let's see here. Sorry, just getting a little bit of feedback. Let's see if there's anything I need to, okay, I think we're in good shape. 4, positions you as an expert and a preferred person to work with. And this is so critical. Our market is getting more and more crowded, more and more competitive. You want to be that perceived expert, that trusted advisor that people will turn to. 5, makes your prospect confident in your knowledge and abilities. 6, establishes a real relationship with your prospect beyond that of the typical salesperson and buyer roles. And what I mean by that, when you're in that salesperson and buyer kind of roles with the prospect, the reality is that there's this wall up in between you, right? And you're always wondering, like, the buyer is wondering, well, how much should I reveal to the salesperson? And the salesperson is wondering, well, what do I have to say to try and get this buyer to do a deal with me? There's kind of that, boundary that's in between you, and you want to establish a real relationship with your prospects that is beyond that, where, again, you are the trusted advisor, and you can say what needs to be said, and they listen to it. Number 7 is cost and time efficient, which is very, very important when you're selling to small businesses. They don't have massive budgets to spend with you, so you've got to make sure you're cost and time efficient. 8 gets you paid premium prices for your services. Okay? Again, I talked about how I think it's real important that you're getting that $1,000 a month or more. And 9 is easy to learn, whether you're new or experienced in this business. Okay? So that's 9 pretty darn big promises, I know. But my goal is to make sure that I live up to that and make sure that, again, during this presentation, I teach you something that you'll find value in, that you'll be convinced will work, and you'll follow it, and you'll start making more money. There's way too many people in this industry that are still struggling to make a good income, and my hope is that we can do as much as possible to eliminate that. Full disclosure, I like to get this out of the way early. At the end of the webinar here, I'm going to give you the opportunity to invest in this system and learn it in its entirety for me and my team. I just want to get that out of the way now. I know that's probably not the biggest surprise to you in the world. You've been on webinars and people have sold you products, but I just want you to be able to relax, take in the information, learn from it. If you think it's a good fit for you, fantastic. If not, no hard feelings, and I hope that, again, you get some good value out of the presentation. Okay? So let me just share with you briefly my story. Like I said, I've been selling to small businesses about 15 years, essentially my entire career, and I started out selling IT services, and then moved on to these local marketing services. I've sold over $30 million in services to small businesses. In my previous company, we grew so fast, we made the Inc. 5000 list 3 years in a row. So I've had some good success, and I feel like I really, really know the small business marketplace. I mean, I feel like I've just spent so much time in it and dealt with so many small businesses that I've got a real good handle on it. My current local marketing business is Cooch, and we provide local marketing services to just one vertical, which is IT service providers. Okay, and when I say IT service providers, that's the industry I was in before. These are the guys that are out like setting up networks and computers for other small businesses, helping you if you get a virus, cleaning up your computer, setting up a firewall at your office, things like that. So we went after that vertical because I knew they stunk at marketing and they need a lot of help. And we grew the business to $150,000 a month in recurring revenue within 18 months of the start. So we grew really fast. We grew even faster than my previous company. We currently have a little less than 20 full-time employees in Denver and about 5 to 10 internationally. We've been on the list of Fly Over 50 fastest growing companies in Middle America. We actually haven't applied to the Inc. list, but I'm sure that we would rank pretty well on that as well. But I think just as important as my successes, I think it's real important that everybody knows that I did not start out as a sales success. In fact, I was pretty painfully uncomfortable with selling in the early days of my career. But I understood that I needed to be able to do it, so I committed to learning it and improving at it. But in my last business, the one that I grew eventually to that Inc. 5000 list 3 years in a row, we really, really struggled at the beginning. In my first year, we did $65,000 in sales. Now, a lot of you are thinking, hey, $65,000 in sales, first year, that's not bad. And it wouldn't be if it was just me working out of my house. I would say, well, that's a great first year, and we're off to the races. But I was in Boston. I had 3 employees. I had rented a small office space, and I was up to debt up to my eyeballs in debt. And you can do the math. $65,000 and 3 employees in office space does not work. So we were really, really struggling that first year. So what were the problems I was facing? There was a handful of them. One, prospects were taking too long to buy. I would think that I was going to have a deal, in the next couple of weeks, and then next thing I knew, it had been a couple of months, and that client still had not signed. Things were dragging on. They would beat me down on my prices. This IT services space that we were in is definitely one of the most competitive businesses in the world, in Boston in particular, right? There's all of these college kids there that come out of school. There's like 30-something colleges in Boston, and they all know more about computers than I've ever known. So they'll graduate and realize, well, I could get a job where I can help people with computers at 75 bucks an hour and make, what to them seems like a small fortune. So that's what I was competing with. Here I was trying to build a real business, and I was competing against college kids that just wanted, some car money and some drinking money. So I was getting beat down on my prices trying to compete with them. I was very unfocused about who and what to sell. I was selling to, a restaurant one day and a law firm the next day. So I was very unfocused. I sold one-off projects very often, but I wasn't getting much in the way of recurring revenue. So I'd sell, hey, I'm going to come set up a few computers, but then the project would be done, and I'd be looking for my next project. And, clients were jumping vendors for cheaper prices. There was no real loyalty. So I was in this total scramble where I was just completely desperate for work. And I wonder, does any of that sound familiar to any of you out there? Is anybody... Yeah. Yep. So I see a lot of yeses. Yeah. And the reason why it has a lot to do with the selling to the small business marketplace. There are certain dynamics of selling to the small business marketplace that if you don't understand, it can be a very painful experience. And I was going about selling to them all wrong, and I was paying the price. And I was in what I call the small and medium-sized business cycle of doom. Okay, and again, I think that some of you are going to recognize this. It goes something like this. One, you decide to start your business, and you get out there and you start, you network. You tell some people, hey, I'm getting into this business. I'm going to help, local businesses with our online marketing, yada yada. Start doing some networking events, telling some people all that good stuff. Next thing you know, you find somebody that says, yeah, you know what, I think our business needs some help with that. Maybe we could talk to you. You get all excited. You're fired up. And you start spending all of your time trying to make sure you win that one deal, right? So what you do is you stop prospecting, right? You're not really going out looking for new business because, man, you want to do the research that you need to do to make sure you win that deal. You want to put together nice proposals. You want to do everything it takes to win that deal with that one client. So something, forces it to drag out, right? Whether or not, they want something custom, they need to get all of their team together to make a decision, they're not going to be able to do that for a couple of weeks, whatever it is. You get nervous that you may lose that deal, and you end up, saying, all right, what do I have to do to win this thing? Maybe you end up lowering your price pretty aggressively to win the deal. The good news is you win it, and then you're scrambling trying to figure out how to deliver it, right? To make sure that you're actually delivering the service that you sold, that you're going to get your happy customer, right? And during that time, again, you're not doing any new prospecting, or at least it's dramatically slowed down. You finally complete that deal, congratulations, and then number 7, you realize, shoot, I spent so much time on that, and I haven't really, because of that, I haven't really added any money to my bottom line. I mean, yeah, I brought in a little bit of income, but I spent so much time on it that I'm actually maybe falling a little bit behind. I don't have anybody in my pipeline again, and now I'm starting the sales process all over again from scratch. So that's where I was, and I see somebody says, been there, done that. Yeah. So as a result, again, I was in that kind of cycle of doom. I was just spinning around. I had no confidence. My credit cards were maxed out. I mean, I had just graduated from graduate school. I was probably about $100,000 in debt, completely stressed out, and never imagined myself in that position. And then most importantly, my wife was at her limit. She never signed up for this entrepreneurship thing. That wasn't her game plan. And to top it all off, right like the month before I started the business, she actually told me that she was pregnant with our first baby. So Got my wife at home very, very stressed out. I was very stressed out, and I was desperately trying to stay afloat. And because of that, I was 100% reactive, right? I was just doing anything to try and bring money in the door. I was taking on clients I shouldn't take on. I was selling for prices that were unsustainable just to try and win deals. And I was doing work that wasn't creating any long-term value for my company. And as a result, I was not having fun. I mean, I was stressed. I was waking up sick to my stomach. I was having a very hard time sleeping at night in the first place. It was just not a fun experience, and I was not getting ahead. And again, I wonder if any of that sounds familiar to anybody out there. And Karen says, yeah, there's always a month left when the money is gone. And I hear lots of varies. Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Good. Well, look, I hope that I can share with you some stuff that's going to help you change that going forward. So something had to change for me, and thankfully it did. So we went from $65,000 in sales to $596,414 in the next 12 months. That's, I think, by anybody's standards, that's a pretty darn big leap. And again, we were in Boston. We were in the most competitive market in America for the services that we were selling. And thankfully, it didn't stop there. 2003, we did 65 grand. 2004, we did 596. 2005, 1.5 million. And 2006, 2.8 million, 2.9 million, effectively. And you can see each year our growth actually was accelerating still, right? We added essentially $500,000 from this year to this year. From this year to this year, we essentially added $1 million. From 2005 to 2006, we added about 1.3 million. So we were growing like crazy. In fact, we were growing so fast the wheels, were falling off the cart. Right? We were trying to hire people so fast. We were trying to, put systems in place to make sure we were delivering a good service. We were trying to get new office space, buy computers, all that type of stuff. It literally was just frantic for a period of time there. But I'll tell you what, I'll take that kind of stress over the stress of not bringing in enough money any day, right? There's good stress and there's bad stress. I'll take this. This is a good stress, right? When you're growing so fast, you don't know what to do. I'll take that over the stress of debt and bills that you can't pay any day. So one more question for you here is, what do you think changed? And I'll give $100 to the first person to get it right. Okay? Mindset, market, mindset, systems, your sales system, focus on one thing, leverage, sales process, systems, referral, sales approach, target market mindset, belief, marketing focus, automation. I'm still looking for one word. Ah, Rodney Black, got it. He's the first person to say it. So I'm not going to say it out loud, but Rodney Black, punch in your email address that we can send you some PayPal money. Okay, we'll send you $100. All right? See, lots of good stuff. Attitudes, sales cycle, outsourcing, residuals. I see somebody out there who's skeptical because he says, man, I'm not reporting numbers since 2006. What has he done since then, Mr. Big Shot? Well, I'll be happy to answer that at the end of the presentation. But $100 to Rodney Black. Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody for the response. So what changed? Thank you, Karen. What changed? Well, let me tell you what didn't change first. It isn't that we hired a new salesperson that knew what he was doing. It isn't that we created some incredible new service offering that everybody wanted. We were selling the same stuff. It isn't that we started delivering dramatically better services and got tons of referrals. And it isn't that we lowered our prices to get more business. In fact, we raised our prices 3 times in the next year because we realized we were going broke at the prices that we were out there selling at. So what changed? The answer is we learned to start selling strategically at our business. Now, what do you think that means? So Rodney said strategy, right? And we learned to start selling strategically. So let me tell you what that means. It means that we now had a sales process that positioned us as experts. It created real relationships with prospects that valued and could afford to pay for our services. It allowed us to work with prospects on their business goals and challenges, okay? So we were not selling commoditized technical services anymore. And I'm going to explain what that means by showing you kind of what the before and after conversations were like in the sales process. So again, this is back, I'm selling my IT services here. The before conversations and the after conversations. The before conversations were about, well, what are your hourly rates? And how come I, heard from a guy down the street that said he can charge me 20 bucks less an hour? Can you match those hourly rates, right? It was all about the pressure of how much we were going to charge and how much were they willing to pay us. And it was just a constant beatdown, right? And it was about things like hardware and software. Like, can you get me this Dell computer for cheaper? This guy says he can get me a better deal on Dells, and if he does, I'm going to give my business to him, right? It was about stuff like that, and it was about short-term firefighting. It was about people calling us up and saying, hey, my computer's on the fritz, I think I got a virus, I need you out here right now to fix this. They'd be yelling at us, yelling at our employees, just kind of treating us like we were, lower than low. The after conversations were totally different. The after conversations were about the business value that can be created by the proper use of technology. And what technology should a company put in place to get the most value out of their business? And how do we design those systems to be most effective, right? How do we design those systems to be most effective to create that business value? And it was about long-term strategy with my clients. It was about things like, hey, you're a 30-person law firm now, and you're telling me you want to be a 50-person law firm in a year. Well, what needs to change about your technology to allow you to do that and still keep the productivity that you have of your lawyers so that you don't lose any of your billing rates? It was about conversations like that. It was no longer about conversations like, hey, you're charging $135 an hour, and this guy says, he can do it for $115. All right? So in the local marketing space, it was the exact same thing. When I first started these services, unfortunately, I kind of forgot some of the lessons that I learned selling the IT services, and I went out and I started doing things like, hey, I can build you a Facebook page. I can, we can redo your website. And so we were selling those, short-term projects. And again, it became focused on hourly rates. I actually had people asking me, well, how many links are you going to build, to our website each month? Because, they had heard that you had to have a certain amount of links to be effective at SEO. And I was like, man, I have completely lost control of the sales process if people are asking me about how many links we're building. Like, they shouldn't care about that. They should care about the results that we're getting them, right? So the after conversation, again, we're doing marketing for our clients. Marketing is probably the single most impactful thing you can do for a small business, right? So we were talking to them about the business value created by having effective marketing in place, by having marketing systems that continually add value to their business, bring in new customers, convert those customers at the highest prices possible, right? And we're talking to them about how they use that marketing to develop long-term strategy to help them reach their goals. Totally different conversations. So we're now having more strategic conversations with our prospects and clients, which meant that they were now viewing us as a strategic part of their team. Okay? They were now viewing us as trusted advisors, as experts. And experts get paid what, people? Experts get paid what? What do experts get paid? More, says Mark. Well, good money. Yeah, exactly. Experts get paid more. Okay? We all know this. We all have people in our lives, service providers in our lives, whatever it is, that we look up to as experts. And we just expect that we will pay them more. And we feel that it's perfectly justified because we feel like we're getting a higher quality of person and a higher quality of knowledge and experience than we do through the other people that we could be working with. Okay? So we need to position ourselves as experts, and that's what we were able to start doing. So how much of a difference did that make in the relationships we created and on the rates we were able to charge? I made over $500,000 in that first year alone. And like I said, we continued to grow so fast that we made that Inc. 5000 list 3 years in a row. So it made a massive, massive difference in our business. So I'm sure you're wondering, well, how did this change happen, right? Because if we're going to make a change, we need to know how to go about doing it. Well, everyone has their snapping point, right? And I was at mine. I was very, very close. So I had decided before I went to graduate school, I went to an entrepreneurship program, very good program. I had decided before that, well before that I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like I had attached my identity to being an entrepreneur. And I got to the point where I was so stressed out, my wife was so stressed out, it was causing so many problems that I was about to give up on that and get a job, right? And I say eek below because, you know, I had attached my personality and my identity to being an entrepreneur. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, that once you do that, this idea of turning back and having to go to work for somebody just literally makes you sick to your stomach. Like, you literally become unemployable. You're like, I don't think I can do it anymore. And that's where I was at mentally. I was like, man, I'm doing something so counter. I'm considering doing something so counter to what I believe is my identity that it was freaking me out. And I'm sure everybody knows, you know, what JOB stands for, right? Just over broke. I see a lot of people saying, you know, they're there right now. And I know a lot of you, look, a lot of you still have jobs right now. And I don't mean anything disrespectful by this. I mean, having a job is a perfectly good thing. And certainly a lot of people are doing the local marketing stuff part-time to try and eventually leave their jobs. And that's fine. I don't mean anything disrespectful, you know, by it. Again, I was at this point where I had gone past that. Like, I was an entrepreneur. I was going to do this. And I was literally at this psychological breaking point. So I went a little bit crazy, honestly. You know, my business partner, who's still my business partner to this day, I can remember very clearly a night after work in Boston. If you've ever been to Boston, what everybody does after work is you go out to the pub and you know, have a couple of beers with everybody before going home. So we were out at the pub, and we were both just beat up. We were just dead dog tired. We were both broke, and we were like, man, we cannot continue doing this any longer. I mean, literally, we're just going to drive ourselves into bankruptcy. Something has to change. And so it was just this kind of snapping point. And because of that snapping point, because we reached it, we had a very clear conversation at the pub that night. Maybe it was the beers we were drinking too. But the conversation was very clear where we realized, man, every crummy client that we take on was costing us money. It wasn't adding to our business, right? We were spending time with them, but we weren't getting paid what we were worth. And that meant that we weren't spending time going out and getting good clients. And the thing is, by now, we did have some good clients. So we could identify the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. And that's what we did. We sat there and we said, okay, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between the good ones and the bad ones? And we started talking about the characteristics, right? And then we said, okay, well, when did we know that a good one was going to be a good one and a bad one was going to be a bad one? And I was like, you know, to be honest, I know it right away. As soon as I'm out selling to somebody, they are immediately either beating me down on prices, not talking to me about strategy for their business, just wanting me to put out fires, or they're willing to talk to me about, yeah, you know, we're trying to use technology more, you know, in a way that gives us better leverage from it. We know we need to use it more effectively to grow more. We've reached some bottlenecks, and we need somebody to help us with that. So they were totally different conversations, and we could identify them from the very beginning. And if I could identify them from the very beginning, all of a sudden it hit me over the head like a hammer, where I was like, well, then it's my damn fault if I keep on having those conversations with the crummy prospects as soon as I know they're crummy. Like, I should just move on, right? So I realized right then and there, I was like, wait a minute, I have to refuse to work with those prospects who don't get it and who aren't being strategic about how they're using their technology. And I know many of you experience this right now when you go out and you talk to these small businesses, right? Some small businesses you talk to about marketing, and they're like, yeah, man, we need to be doing a better job of that. We're not taking advantage of it. I know some of my competitors are. Yeah, we have got to get on top of this. And some of them you talk to and they're just like, well, SEO doesn't work. You know, daily deals don't work. Everybody gets screwed by those, right? There's those prospects too. So you know the difference right away. So those ones that aren't being strategic, I changed my entire approach to having conversations with them. I realized, man, you know what? I'm going to turn the tables. I'm going to make them prove to me that they're qualified to work with me. And as I'm sure you can imagine, that's a totally different attitude. When you're sitting down with a business owner that you're trying to sell to, and your mindset is now, hey, not can I sell you something? The mindset is, are you strategic enough? Are you smart enough to work with me? It's a totally different conversation. So we started talking with prospects about business growth strategies and challenges. Okay? We weren't talking about technology. We weren't talking about bits and bytes. We weren't talking about SEO or PPC. We're talking about business growth strategies and challenges. And if they wouldn't engage on that level, we'd excuse ourselves from the conversation. I mean, I would literally just, you know, kind of along the lines of stand up and say, hey, you know what, I appreciate your time. I don't think that we're a good fit. And so I'm going to go ahead and politely excuse myself, you know, from this conversation and from this opportunity. You know, and I would get up and leave. Okay? So what were the results of that? Well, we now started getting only clients that appreciated our approach, right? Because, look, we tend to lump small businesses into one big category and call them a small business. Well, the reality is there's the 3-person company that's barely surviving, and there's the 30-person law firm where the partner's making $1 million in net income every year. Those are both considered small businesses, but obviously they're dramatically different. The 30-person law firm that's trying to get to a 50-person law firm in the next year is looking for somebody that can help them at a strategic level. They're not looking for somebody just to put out fires, okay? So we were getting clients that had that mindset and appreciated the fact that we were trying to be strategic for them. And those clients would gladly pay us to work with them. They would pay us what we were worth. So our average client revenue actually shot up to $2,500 a month. We got a retainer, and they stayed with us, ended up staying with us for over 3 years on average. That's $90,000 per client, and that's not including all the project work we did with them. Okay, these were great clients, and these clients were easier to work with because they appreciated what we were doing more than just putting out those fires. Okay, so this is a real aha lesson in this presentation that you need to understand, okay? Because if I don't get this to sink in, then none of the rest of this makes sense, and it's kind of pointless, okay? So I want to make sure that you get this point perfectly clear. So I'm going to try and do that with a little fishing analogy here, okay? Analogy, metaphor, I always get confused on what's what, so I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But let's say when you're fishing, you use certain bait to attract specific fish, right? I mean, it's obvious to you, right? If you're going to go out and fish for a little catfish, you're going to use different bait than if you were going out to fish for a shark, right? Well, it's the same thing in sales. In sales, you get the kind of clients that your bait attracts, okay? Certain customers are looking for and attracted to certain types of messages and offers, okay? Certain customers are looking for and attracted to certain types of messages and offers. You must put out the right bait with the way that you're presenting yourself and the way that you're presenting your services if you hope to attract the right type of client. It's as simple as that, okay? And I first grasped this from this book called Positioning. Okay, from Al Reese and Jack Trout. It's considered a classic in marketing professional circles. If you haven't read it, you should absolutely get on Amazon and buy a copy of it and read it. And it's all about how you position yourself and your brand in the marketplace, right? And I think the easiest way just to illustrate this, right, is if we use just this very simple little high quality, low quality, high price, low price little grid here, right? And I think we all understand this when we look at it this way, right? Up here in this high quality, high price segment, we would have like Mercedes or something like that, or Rolex watches or whatever it is, right? These are brands that we associate with high quality, luxury, the best at what they do, and we expect that we have to pay more money for them, right? Now down on the other end in the low price and low quality is McDonald's, right? McDonald's, I mean, hey, you know, it's consistent. The idea is it's clean, you know, it's supposed to be clean anyway, that you can get the same taste anywhere you are in the world. It's going to be fast. It's going to be cheap, right? But we all know that McDonald's isn't the best food in the world. We all know it's not that, you know, great for us, right? Now, when you look at these two brands, how weird would it be if Mercedes came out with a $10,000 car that was all plastic parts and, you know, was meant to just be, you know, super fuel efficient and all that stuff, right? It wouldn't fit what you understand of their brand and of their image. And the same thing, if McDonald's all of a sudden started serving filet mignon and trying to charge you 35 bucks to come sit down, you know, 35 bucks a head to come sit down at McDonald's and eat a filet mignon, it wouldn't work. It would be confusing, right? Mercedes understands that it needs to stay up here in this high quality and high price and do everything they can to protect that image. And the same with McDonald's. They know, hey, yeah, I mean, is it possible that we could go upscale? Yeah, but that would totally mess up what McDonald's is all about. So big companies tend to do this better than small companies. They tend to understand, hey, look, we've got to own a position in the minds of the consumers, and we've got to stick with it. Okay, that consistency is important. Now, the problem is that many of you, without even realizing it, are positioning yourself down here. Because you're just hungry, you're going out and trying to get a deal, you're kind of, you know, pitching desperately, you're willing to lower your prices, or you're just putting out low prices to begin with, you're selling quick little projects, right, instead of trying to position yourself as an expert and as a consultant and get a long-term relationship with the client, where instead where you really want to be is up here. Again, going back to our initial pop quiz, going back to what it takes to be successful long-term and being able to charge premium prices and have long-term relationships with clients. That's up here in this segment. So again, unfortunately, most people are down here. We're having commodity conversations. We're getting beat up on prices. We're doing small little projects that don't have consistent long-term revenue, right? So if you are having those commodity conversations about commodity services, you will get clients that view you as a commodity and will pay you commodity prices. Okay? Just like we talked about earlier, if you're putting out that bait, that's the fish you're going to catch. If you have strategic conversations with strategically minded businesses, you will get clients that view you as strategic and pay you higher prices. It's as simple as that. There are all kinds of businesses out there that can afford and are perfectly willing and in fact even want to pay that expert, that trusted advisor that will charge them more because they know that that person and that service provider will help them take their business to the next level. Okay, and that brings me to this next slide. To me, this is the aha slide. Like, I hope that you print this up and hang it on your wall and look at it every day until it just absolutely sinks into the very core of your being. Write it down, do whatever you have to do, and stick it up on your computer monitor so you see it all day long. Broke companies are looking for cheap. Successful companies are looking for strategy. Okay, what does that mean? It means that if you go out and sell to the 3-person broke company that doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together, then of course they're going to beat you down on prices. Of course they're going to tell you your services don't work. They're doing everything they can just to try and get the cheapest deal possible, and they're going to be a great big pain in the neck because they're so focused on the short term that they can't see strategy, right? They're so focused on just paying the bills today that they can't think strategically. Whereas successful companies are looking for strategy. Again, go talk to that 30-person company that's trying to grow by 100% and truly be the market leader in their space in the next year. And if you go to them with a proposal to help them with their marketing that isn't strategic, then they're going to go, well, I know you can't take me to the next level. right? So I need to go find somebody who's serious, somebody who's a strategic player that can take me to the next level, okay? So, I think the easy way to think about this on a real extreme scale, right? If you go and you pitch to that 3-person restaurant versus if you go and you pitch to the CEO of Exxon, okay? Massive, massive, massive company, right? One of the handful of biggest companies in the world, right? Do you think that the same pitch would work to the CEO of Exxon? Or do you think that you're going to have a slightly different presentation, a slightly different presence in the way that you come across? You're going to have different pricing, right? It's obvious. When you talk about it at that extreme of a level, it's totally obvious, right? If I go to the CEO of Exxon and I say, hey, I think I can improve your marketing for $500 a month. I'm going to do some more SEO stuff for you. Obviously, the CEO of Exxon is going to go, look, kid, we're a couple $100 billion company, and I need to move the needle by another $20 billion this year at a minimum. Your $500 services aren't going to cut it, right? It's the same thing to a lesser extent if you go talk to that 30-person company. If you're going in there and you're pitching the wrong stuff and you're not coming across as strategic, you're not going to get very far with them, okay? So you must sell to clients that value and can pay for what you have to offer. And in order to do that, you must have strategic conversations that demonstrate your worth. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? I want to make sure that that makes total sense before we move on, because if it doesn't, again, it's kind of like we all miss the big picture. Great. So I see.
I wanted to say something on that, Mike. Great point, and you know what that is? Businesses at that level that you're talking about, they understand one thing. And to get to that next level and to move that needle, it takes money or time.
Right.
And they don't have the time, but they have the money. And they would rather pay someone to do it, and they'd rather pay someone to do it right the first time, so they'll pay extra money to get that done.
Absolutely. And they may not have the expertise, and they may realize, geez, in order for us to try and develop that expertise in-house, is a long shot and a long road and expensive, and yeah, so that's absolutely right. And I see, yeah, so it looks like all kinds of people get it. Perfect. And somebody's saying, well, how do you identify these strategic companies in the first place? That's an awesome question, James, and I'm about to get to that. So effectively what you're asking is, well, that's great, Mike, but how do I do that, right? So that was my challenge, was to create a system that allows you to talk strategically to any type of business, okay? You've got to be able to raise your level of conversation to a strategic level, okay? Positions you as a marketing expert, gives you and your prospect confidence, which is really, really important. I know a lot of people in this industry don't have a ton of confidence yet, and can I deliver, and am I really a marketing expert? They're kind of learning as they go, and they struggle with that. And if you struggle with that and you don't have confidence, you can be sure your prospect picks up on that. So, we need to do something that gives you and your prospect confidence, and it's got to be something that could be quickly and easily learned by anybody. I've had a pretty good-sized sales team working for me in the last couple of years. And in order to get them up to speed and make them productive as quickly as possible, I have to have something that I can give to them that they can quickly and easily learn, right? And you don't have to be a marketing guru to learn it. So that's the R4 sales system. That's what I created. So the best way to give you some of the details on how that works, James, to your question, is to walk you through what it is and to go through some conversations so you can hear how these conversations happen, because it really is so much about the conversations and the language that you're using, okay? So people may be wondering, well, what is this R for? Well, this is it. It's just this simple little pyramid, okay? And on the bottom, you see reputation, that's the foundation of the pyramid, and then you see reach, and then you see resell and referral. 4 R's, okay? Now, the idea here is that these are the 4, kind of strategic components of marketing that every business needs to optimize to be successful, right? In today's day and age where it's so easy to get online and look up what people think about a company, you had better have a solid reputation. Otherwise, you get immediately eliminated from contention, right? If I'm going out to a restaurant, trying to find a restaurant, and I search and I find a steak, I'm searching for steakhouses in Denver. And I search and I see, oh, here's 5 steakhouses within 2 blocks of me. One of them's got a 5-star reputation, and the others have 1-star and 2-star reputations. Well, where am I going to go eat, right? Of course, I'm going to go to that 5-star restaurant. So then there's reach. Right? You have to be able to reach out to more prospects and customers. You have to make sure that more people know about your business. Then there's resell, right? Reselling to those customers. And then there's referrals, right? Generating referrals from happy customers. And then, if you get more referrals, that enhances your reputation. And this becomes kind of this self-fulfilling thing, right? You get more happy customers up here. They tell more people down here. Those people are more biased to already be happy with you because they heard from their good friend that they love you and blah, blah, blah. So it becomes this self-fulfilling thing, right? Now, you're saying, geez, Mike, there's not much to that. Maybe you were expecting like some more, some sort of rocket science or something. Well, there is real power in the simplicity. Okay, real power in it. Why? Because it's a concept that by the end of this presentation, you guys will be able to talk to these 4 R's. You'll get it, right? It's not that tough, right? So again, we've already accomplished one of our objectives, which is it's easy for you to learn. But most importantly, it's easy for your prospects to relate to because you're talking about words that they understand: reputation, reach, resell, referral. Those are words that just business owners understand. When you go out there and you talk like SEO and PPC and links and edge rank and stuff like that, normal business owners don't understand any of that stuff. And we go out and we start, talking all this technical mumbo jumbo and we lose people, okay? We want to use language where we can relate to them and that they can understand. And that's what this language is, okay? So the other nice thing is every business, tell me a business where these things don't matter: reputation, reach, resell, and referral. There is no business where these things don't matter. So you can talk to any business, any industry, and have this exact same conversation structure, and it will work. Okay, so again, that's simplicity equals power. So don't write it off because of how simple it is. In fact, be excited about how simple it is. Okay, so the best way to illustrate how this goes is to let's just go through a conversation. Like I'm actually having a prospecting conversation, okay? So in this conversation, let's just pretend that I was out at a networking event or something. So I just, I bumped into somebody and I'm having a conversation with them, and the conversation would go something like this. Maybe they say to me, "Hey Mike, what do you do?" So my answer would be something like, "I help businesses like yours leverage proven marketing systems to get dramatic growth in their business." Okay? So just simple, right? I'm not saying I do SEO. I'm not saying I do PPC. I'm not saying I do daily deals. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I help businesses like yours leverage proven marketing systems to get dramatic growth. Okay? Now, if the prospect was at all interested, was at all having challenges in growing their business, or was struggling with marketing, they're more than likely going to say something along the lines of, well, how exactly do you do that? Then I would say, well, I'd be happy to show you. If you don't mind, let me first ask a quick question or two. And this is critical here, guys. I did not just launch right into my solutions, right? I'm asking them, and somebody even said, Chris says, ask strategic questions. That's right. So I'm going to go first with some good questions, all right? So the questions I would ask would be like this. So how are you currently marketing your business, Mr. Prospect? Okay, great. And what's working for you? And what are your biggest challenges? And do you feel like you have a predictable system for growth? Now, I just kind of rattled those off one after the other, but it would be conversational, right? They would answer the first question, then I'd ask the second one, they'd answer that, then I'd ask the third, right? So these questions are designed to get them to open up and admit that they aren't happy with their current results, right? Because there's a saying in sales, if there's no pain, there's no sale, right? If they're not currently unhappy with their results, then why in the world would they ever sign up for services with you? They need to be frustrated with the fact that they don't have enough customers, that their business isn't growing, that their marketing isn't working, that they're wasting money, okay? So you want to ask those questions to get that out of the prospect and find out where they're at, okay? So that's when I would bring out the R4. And I would say, great, thank you for answering those questions for me. I think I've got a good understanding of where you're at, what some of your challenges are. Now, it's our experience that there are 4 R's every business needs to plan for and optimize in order to maximize their growth potential, okay? And I would literally draw this out. Like if I was at a little cocktail party type of thing, networking event, I would draw this out on a cocktail napkin so that there's this visual element that they can see, right? So I would literally sketch it up so that they can see it. And I would say the first R is reputation. You know, Mr. Prospect, it's never been easier for your prospects to find out what other customers think about your business, right? We have our smartphones with us. We can pull up, Yelp. We can pull up Google. We can find reviews from customers saying all kinds of things about your business within 5 seconds, right? If you don't have a good reputation in place, then pretty much no matter what else you do, you're going to struggle. Because if you do a whole bunch of marketing to drive people to your business, but all of those people are quickly hopping online to find out about your reputation, then essentially you're just spending a bunch of money to drive people to find out that you have a crummy reputation. So we want to make sure that you have a solid reputation in place. Okay, the second R is reach. Once you have that reputation in place, you've got to make sure more people know about you today than did yesterday, right? You've got to get the word out about your business so that more people are aware of you and aware of the great things that you have to offer. The third R is resell. Okay, so once you've done all the hard work of getting those customers, you need to make sure you maximize the lifetime value of that customer, right? You want to resell, cross-sell, and upsell them in various forms, right? And oftentimes I'll refer to good old McDonald's and the supersize me, right? Or, would you like a fries? Would you like a shake with that order? That type of thing, right? McDonald's does that very well, and that's something that people can really relate to. And then the fourth R is referral. Mr. Prospect, since you'll be doing such a great job of taking care of those customers, we need to set up systems to maximize the benefit you're getting from those happy customers, because all of the research shows that if you have a really happy customer, they still, most of the time, won't proactively refer your business, just because it's effort. So you've got to put systems in place that make it super easy for them to do so that we're maximizing the good, the good vibe, the good feelings that you're creating with those customers out in the marketplace, and you get as many positive reviews and as positive referrals as you can. Okay, so it's our experience that maximizing any of these R's can lead to 25% growth at your business. And maximizing all 4 gets a compounding effect where you can easily see 100% growth and sometimes much, much more. And I'm sure, in every industry, you can point to a business that's growing much, much, much faster than the other businesses in that space. And that's the reason why. They're, consciously or not, they are maximizing and optimizing these 4 R's. Okay? So then I just ask a question like, do you see how maximizing these 4 R's could significantly impact growth at your business? Okay, now, if I have a conversation like that with the prospect, either they're going to go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, clearly we are not even being strategic and thoughtful about each of these 4 R's. You're right, we should be doing things better. Or they're going to, yeah, we do all that stuff, yeah, we're crushing it, don't need you, right? And if that's the case, move on. Or if they say something along the lines of, oh, well, that marketing stuff doesn't work in our industry, move on, right? By having this strategic conversation right out of the gate, I'm having the type of conversation that I'm either going to get somebody leaning into me and going, yeah, Mike, tell me more, or I'm going to get somebody that's leaning away from me going, yeah, it's all mumbo jumbo, it doesn't work for my business, right? So I'm immediately qualifying the people that I'm talking to, okay? So now, at this point, the prospect would probably say, because I've been talking high level, I've been talking strategy here at this strategic level. At this point, they'd probably, if they're interested, they're probably going to say something along the lines of, well, what do you mean? So what exactly do you do to enhance my reputation or to get me more reach or whatever, right? And they're probably going to ask about the area that they're most concerned about. So you automatically start to get a good understanding of where you're going to start selling them, okay? And notice, again, I haven't mentioned anything specific about SEO, PPC, daily deals, any of that stuff yet, because I'm finding out what their challenges are by having this more strategic conversation first. So at that point, if they said something, well, what exactly do you do? How can you help our business? Then I would say something along the lines of, well, that's a great question. To be honest with you, I don't know the exact answer to that yet because I don't know enough about the details of your business. So what I do next is I take them to what we call our R4 marketing audit, okay? And usually I do this like in a separate meeting or separate phone call type of thing, right? And I set them up to do this audit where they answer these questions about how they're marketing their business. And this is just one section of it. But you can see some of these questions. Are you upselling all customers at the initial point of purchase? Have you identified complementary cross-sell offers for all of your products and services? Is your staff trained to identify and offer upsell, cross-sell, and downsell opportunities? Right? Are you communicating offers to your existing customers at least once per month? So they're going through this audit, and they're checking yes or no or filling in the appropriate answers. Right? So by doing this, two really important things happen. One, it clearly shows the client or the prospect how much better they could be doing with their business and with their marketing, right? Because they're going through this and they're going, geez, yeah, we're not doing any of this stuff. Yeah, we probably should be doing more of this, right? And there isn't a business in the world that can go through our audit without seeing some big holes, okay? And then number two, it clearly shows you those big holes. It clearly shows you where you need to focus to get your client the most impact. Okay, and it shows them as well. It shows them these areas where clearly they're very weak with their marketing. So now you're able to start crafting a solution that's specific to them and specific to the problems that they themselves have revealed. All right, which is a totally different sales conversation than just going and pitching a particular product or service. Right? So a lot of people then ask me, well, Mike, what do I then offer, to those people? And that's why we have our R4 service alignment guide. So depending on the, industry that you're selling to, we have put together this guide that shows you for reputation, for reach, for resale, and referral, here are the things that are best for each of those areas. And it's funny, Alicia, because I now look at this and I go, yeah, you know what? I don't have daily deals in here because, as you know, you have completely opened my eyes to the whole daily deals thing, and I'm kind of a rookie at that, so that absolutely gets added to this service alignment guide.
Great. Great.
Yeah, it's been a real eye-opener for me to understand the power of, in particular, the reach of those daily deal sites and what you can do for your clients.
Right. Love to hear that. Great.
Yeah, but I get a lot of local marketers that say, well, I just signed on a restaurant, but what do I do for them? Well, you do for them what they need in that particular category. So if a restaurant needs help, right, with that third R, resell, then you look at the guide and it shows you, hey, SMS is a perfect solution to put in place to improve resell. Right, and we know that, like text message marketing, like lots of restaurants use this very, very effectively now, where you go to their restaurant and it says like, hey, join our happy hour club and get, special discounts by texting, happy hour to, whatever the number, right? And then on Fridays at 2 o'clock, you get a message from them that says, hey, buy one margarita, get one free for the next 2 hours type of thing, right? It's very, very effective for restaurants. On the other hand, if you were selling to like an accounting firm, right? Well, they're not going to do text message marketing to resell their customers, right? No accounting firm is going to text message their clients, but doing things like email marketing, like having an email newsletter, emailing out some best practices to their clients, some updates on the latest tax codes, things like that. Doing direct mail. Those things can be super, super effective for a professional services firm like an accounting firm or a law firm. So this guide tells you the types of things that you should be offering them, okay? So now by going through that process and using those tools, you no longer have to wonder what you should be selling to your clients. The R4 audit and the alignment guide will tell you, okay? it will tell you exactly what you should be selling them. And it will be clear to the prospect what they need because they went through that process with you. So by having these more strategic conversations, you've given yourself the flexibility to not pitch a specific product or service. Rather, you're determining the right product or service based on what the client actually needs. Right? Imagine that. I had a conversation with a guy earlier today where he was saying, hey Mike, I keep on calling up all these lawyers and telling them that their local optimization, their local listing is all out of whack, and none of them will listen to me, and they all just keep hanging up on me. And I'm like, well, if you're beating your head against the wall, pretty soon you got to stop, right? Like, if you're going and you're trying to pitch this specific product or service to a market, and the market is telling you, hey, that's not my problem, that's not the thing that's keeping me up at night, then stop pitching that particular product or service and start talking to them in a different way and finding out what problems they feel like they're having. What is their perceived pain? Okay? Because when you stop doing the pitch and you start having these more strategic conversations, you position yourself not as the typical salesperson, right? The stereotypical salesperson that's just trying to get a deal. You're positioning yourself as that trusted advisor. You're positioning yourself as someone that can be counted on to take the time to learn what that client actually needs and to craft a solution that makes sense for them. Okay? And that's a totally different relationship that goes back to, in the very first question in that pop quiz, if you have this relationship with a prospect or this relationship with a prospect, it is a totally different scenario. Okay? For anybody who hasn't seen the Godfather movie, just want to make sure that everybody knows this is the Godfather. This is one of his trusted advisors, telling him, hey, here's what he needs to know, right? The Godfather surrounds himself with people that he trusts, both for protection and to give himself kind of the strategic insights he needs, right? So, that's where you want to be with your clients. So I hope that you can see now by how having a more strategic conversation can differentiate you from your competition and can position you in a totally different way than just selling SMS, SEO, PPC, or any other tactical solution, right? Because there are so many of your competitors out there that's exactly what they're doing, that you are now putting yourself in a totally different position in the mind of that prospect. And most importantly, I hope you see how selling like this can help you command the higher prices that you deserve and start making the money that you deserve, right? Because this is how you get out of that cycle of doom, right? By putting out the best bait for the fish that you want to catch, okay? You got to put out the best bait for the fish that you want to catch. And this is the secret that has allowed me to be successful as an entrepreneur selling to small businesses for 10 plus years, okay? Because, in every market that I've been in selling to small businesses, you will see that there are the people who are making good money, the ones that are kind of winning in the marketplace, and you'll see the people that are out there just desperately trying to get the scraps, and they aren't making any money, okay? You want to be on the right side of that equation, okay? To get there, you have to understand, again, this is one of those things I want you to print or write down and hang up on the wall, okay? Not every small business out there deserves to be your client, okay? You need to learn the right sales approach to find the good ones, right? Not every small business deserves to be your client. A lot of small businesses out there are not thinking strategically. They don't believe in the value of marketing. They think that the online thing is just a fad, or it doesn't work in their industry or works in some other industry, right? You need to quickly learn through your sales approach which are the right ones to spend time with and which ones are the ones to walk away from. Because the reality is wasting time with the wrong prospects is the #1 killer when you're selling to small businesses. Okay? It's absolutely the #1 killer.
And Mike, wouldn't you say if you're going after and working with businesses who can't afford to pay you what you deserve, aren't you cheating the business owner who can afford to pay you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's a great way of looking at it. I think that everybody who sells with passion truly believes that they have something very valuable to offer somebody, and it's like their mission to get it in the hands of people to help them. Right? I absolutely, truly believe that. So yeah, I mean, if you're out there wasting time with those wrong prospects, there's somebody out there that you're not helping. There's somebody out there that you're not getting more customers, that you're not helping them build their business. So yeah, I definitely absolutely agree with that. So that's the R4 sales framework. Okay, that's that pyramid again with the 4 layers there, simple but effective. We also combine that with a sales process that I have found to be most effective and to have the cost and time controls that I think are necessary to sell effectively to small businesses. One of the biggest mistakes I see in people that are new to selling to small businesses is, let's say that you get on the phone, you make some calls around, and you get a prospect that goes, yeah, I think I'm interested in what you're talking about. Why don't you come and sit down in my office and talk to me about it? You get all fired up, and you schedule that meeting. The day comes when you go to that meeting, you leave plenty early to make it there. You drive across town, you sit there, you talk to that prospect for an hour, you drive back. Turn out the prospect wasn't a good fit. You blew 3.5 hours of your day. Then you went and got a coffee or whatever you did, and you missed out on so much selling time and prospecting time. Whereas what you should have done, instead of going out and spending time with that prospect, is you should have asked good questions over the phone to qualify them, to then find out if it was even worthwhile having that in-person meeting. Because an in-person meeting is one of the most expensive things you can do in selling. So the sales process that we have typically starts with some sort of marketing event where you're giving them like some sort of educational material, or you're holding a webinar or something like that, right, to educate them and talk to them about the things that they could be doing to market their business more effectively. That leads then to a phone call, a first phone call where you're trying to get that prospect on the phone and say, hey, I saw that you attended our webinar, or I saw that you downloaded our free report, or whatever it is. And I just want to see if you had any questions, and also just talk to you to see if there was any opportunity to potentially work together. Okay, and you ask some good qualifying questions, and then you set up a phone meeting, not an in-person meeting, a phone meeting, where you say, hey, great, on this first phone call, you say, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know I caught you off guard here, but why don't we schedule a half an hour here coming up soon, because I think we've got some things to talk about, and it would make good sense for me to introduce more of what we do and see if there's a good fit. So then you have that phone meeting where, again, by the end of that phone meeting, you should know and your prospect should know, hey, is it worth moving forward together? And then if it is, then you have an in-person meeting to try and close that deal and turn them into a client, okay? But you can't skip straight from that first phone call right to an in-person meeting, or you lose a lot of time and a lot of money, okay? So we have this process that we have refined and nailed down step by step over the years. That is our R4 sales process. Once that system's in place, you don't need or want to deal with broke businesses, right? You've got a system that works, you're filling your funnel, you're getting confidence, and that's what leads to what I call the SMB virtuous sales cycle, which is the exact opposite of the cycle of doom, right? In the cycle of doom, you're spinning down, and the virtuous cycle, you're spinning up, right? You start selling, you find an opportunity, they actually value your expertise, you've positioned yourself well, you get a nice long-term high-paying client, you get confidence, you get referrals because you're doing a great job for them, and you get momentum, right? Your funnel's filling up. It gets easier and easier. You're getting great momentum. Your reputation is getting out there in the marketplace, just like the R4 that you explained to your clients, and it's starting to feed and create this nice virtuous cycle where you're growing, and it's getting easier and easier to do so. When we finally reached that point as a business, this is what it felt like to me, was that get out of jail free card, right? It was one of those things where, I felt like, okay, I finally broken free of that cycle where everything was just getting worse and getting harder, and I was, losing more and more money, and I was now in a position where I had great momentum. I had clients that liked me, respected me, were paying me what I was worth, and were referring me to other businesses to help do the same. Okay? So that's the system. All right. Now, based on what I've shared with you, will you leave this webinar and go set the world on fire with your new sales? Right? Because I literally showed you the R4 framework. I walked through the conversation. I'm pretty sure that most of the people on this call could pretty much repeat what I just showed them. My answer is doubtful. It's doubtful that you will just take that, though, and just run and all of a sudden just change your sales process and start having dramatic success. Why do I say that? I say that because I've worked with a lot of you guys. I probably know you better than you know yourself at this point. You're a stubborn group, and if I let you, you'll default back to your old habits. You know, you'll leave this presentation, you'll go, yeah, I get it, it's great, it's exciting, and then you'll go back to doing things the way that you've always been doing them. Now, the biggest risk you face in your business in the next year is not being able to bring in the revenue you need because you continue to use either outdated or insufficient sales skills, okay? And those things are not making you the money you deserve. Okay, the biggest risk is not that you will not know the latest thing about PPC or SEO or any of that. The biggest risk is that you're just not going to be able to go out and bring in enough revenue. Again, sales is the #1 entrepreneurial skill, okay? You have got to focus on making sales happen. And again, I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that this presentation opened up your eyes as to how you need to position yourself and how you can take a different approach to do so by having more strategic conversations. Okay. So on that note, I want to introduce the R4 sales system. As I said, I let you know how, if you thought it was a good fit for you, how you can invest in the sales system and learn it in its entirety from me and my team, and get the whole thing. So I'll just introduce that here briefly, and then, like I said, I'm happy to stick around and answer all the questions that I can for you. Okay. So the R4 sales system starts out with it's foundational training, right? It's training on how to sell specifically to the SMB marketplace based on its unique factors. What are the big sales mistakes I see people making? How do you change those, right? What it takes to be successful selling in this marketplace. And then a big part of it is just that mindset of a sales champion, right? Because everybody struggles with these kind of mindset issues when it comes to selling. At one point or another in their career, I know I struggled terribly. I had a hard time asking people for money. I had a hard time asking people certainly for bigger amounts of money because I thought, geez, who am I to be asking that? I'm not worth it. They can't afford that. I would project my financial problems onto my clients. And I hear so many people in this industry do that. Well, my clients can't afford to pay $1,000 a month. Well, that's them projecting their own issues. So we make sure that we really dive into what are those mindset issues and how do you make sure that you clear those up. Otherwise, any selling that you do is not going to be as effective as it could be. And then we give you all of the R4 actual system tools, that R4 framework, the sales process I showed you, a conversation guide on how to lead the conversation step by step through the entire sales process, completely scripted, right? The R4 marketing audit, the service alignment tool that I showed you, and then a proposal template for being able to quickly create proposals that are nice and professional and reflect the conversations that you had with that prospect that you can quickly get out the door. All kinds of turnkey templates, phone scripts, meeting scripts, email prospecting scripts, presentations, webinars, all professionally designed and written by professional copywriters, direct mail campaigns to help you get in the door with prospects. Just some really, really, really high quality stuff that we really invested a lot of money into. And then you get group coaching and Q&A calls. So you get live calls with me to review all the course content material, to do some live role playing on those the scripts and make sure that you're getting the conversations right, that you're comfortable with them, and that we troubleshoot any challenges that you have. And then just open Q&A to answer any questions, okay? And you'll get lifetime access to those calls. So as long as there is an R4 system out there, I do these live calls with people, and you can come and access those at any point that you want to, whether it's now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it is. So just some results that people have seen. Steve was one of our first purchasers of the R4 system. This was just within a few weeks of when he bought it. Closed a $10K down deal today, $2,500 a month, $40K total value, go R4. That was obviously awesome to hear. And you can see this is a Facebook post. We have a private Facebook group for our R4 members. Josh Lannon, he's here in Denver actually. This is me on stage last week speaking in front of over 100 potential clients about improving their online marketing. Isn't it nice to have a system? Thanks, Mike. So he took our presentation that we give you and was doing a live presentation in front of 100 people. Just took that same presentation, went and presented it. He ended up getting 22 prospects from that 100 contact him to talk to him about his services. Steve Kilberg says, gotta love getting an email like this from a new client, landed using the R4 sales system. Keep in mind this client was very skeptical I could do anything for him, but because of the way I presented the R4 system, he agreed to test me out. $1,000 recurring revenue client. So some good success stories, which I always love to hear. Now people obviously ask, well, how much is it? I love to tell people that I'm charging $9,997 just because, darn it, I think I should, because I think this is a great system. I've literally spent who knows how many hours and dollars in my lifetime really putting this system together over the course of my career. And we really have, my team and I have put our heart and soul into putting this thing together. So I think it is easily worth that much, and I can't imagine that anybody that takes it and puts it to use does not easily earn much more than that in their first year of selling due to the R4 sales system. But that's not the price, just kidding. Also, not $997. You can get the complete R4 sales system for just 2 payments of $197. Or you can save 25% and make 1 payment of $297, which I think is the steal of a lifetime. So you get that R4 foundational sales training, all the system tools, all the turnkey templates, all the group coaching with me. And if you feel like this is a good fit for you and you want to take advantage of this, if you feel like you've got challenges with your sales skills that are holding you back, then I absolutely encourage you to go to the link that you see down there, localincomelink.com/R4Little, and take us up on this offer. It would be great to work with you, and I know that this system can do a world of good. I've seen it do a world of good for a lot of people already. We have a 1-year satisfaction guarantee on this. If you are not happy with it anytime in the next year, you can refund it and get your money back. We talked, like Greg mentioned this a little bit earlier, we talked about it, like I firmly believe that this system will help people, and I'm passionate about getting it into the hands of as many people as I can. So I'm a believer in it, and I'm willing to stand by it 100%. So I've got to believe that that's as close to zero risk as you can possibly have. Also throw in some good bonuses. I like to have bonuses. Keep it exciting. I do 4 additional live training calls in addition to the coaching calls on particular areas of selling that I just think are super important for people to understand. Phone sales. Phone is still just such a fantastic tool to leverage in your sales process. The power of question-based selling. I think that this is probably the most important thing you can understand how to do effectively, is to ask good questions in your sales process. So we go through an additional training on that. Objection handling, right? The one thing you can count on in sales is that you're going to get lots of objections, so you need to be prepared for them. The good thing is there's not that many of them, so shame on you if you're not prepared, right? You should prepare for them and know how you're going to respond to them. And then closing the sale. How to do that in a way that doesn't feel cheesy, how to ask for their money in a way that still feels respectful, that gives you confidence, and that just kind of presumes that the deal is going to get done. So that's bonus number 1. Bonus number 2, I've got some really powerful sales tools that I share with you. My killer goal setting process, I cannot believe when I ask people in this space how many of you have written goals for your business and for yourself personally. 95% of you don't. And that is just an absolute shame, because the process of going through and really thinking through and getting clear about your goals is like magic. It's magic what it can do for you. So I've spent a ton of time over the course of my career working on perfecting a goal setting process that really works. And you may take it, tweak it, do whatever you want to with it to make it good for you, but I think it's a great process, and I give you that whole thing. I give you a sales goal and activity tracker then that you can use to hold yourself accountable and make sure that you're actually staying on track with the sales activities that you need to do every day, and some role-playing systems and our trusted vendor Rolodex to help you out with other areas of your business. Bonus number 3, our market domination training. We give you our vertical domination system and our webinar mastery system. So the way that we were able to grow so fast, one of the most important things about our growth is that we focused on one vertical and we went and we dominated it. And this is about how we did that. And we use webinars as a big part of that. I'm a big fan of webinars. So it's our system on how we use those webinars effectively. Okay? And then bonus number 4, ticket to our live in-person local sales boot camp. We hold a local sales boot camp each year where we get together and it's advanced education and networking with your peers. You get direct access to our team. And if you can't make the trip, no problem. We'll give you access to our live stream and recordings if you don't want to make that trip. Okay? So I hope that's some awesome bonuses to even just make it, like I said, if this is something that you feel like you really do need help with, hopefully this just makes it an easy decision for you. So you get all of that. It's over $7,000 in very, very real value, and you can get that again for just the 2 payments of $197, or save that 25% and make 1 payment of $297. Again, 100% guaranteed for 1 year. If you don't like it, just let us know. Unconditional, no questions asked, money back guarantee. All right. And then I like to do a fast action bonus. Being a good entrepreneur is about taking action. It's about being decisive. So I like to reward the people who are decisive. And the fast action bonus that I include here, and this is by midnight Eastern time tomorrow if you sign up. So this isn't like some super high pressure thing that you have to sign up in the next 5 minutes or anything like that. But if you sign up by midnight Eastern time tomorrow and you go through the whole system and you feel like you're learning it, you're practicing your scripts, you've got it down, and you want to have us then evaluate, you in that whole process, how you go through it, how you handle those conversations, and give you some good, real, personal feedback on where we think you can improve, then my team and I will do that with you. Okay? So that's again for the people who sign up by midnight Eastern time tomorrow. And I think, Alicia, I think that you guys even said that you were gonna, you had come up with your own additional thing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We do have. Oh.
Go ahead, Greg. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Good. All right. Yeah, we absolutely do have a bonus that we want to throw in. But before I say that, again, guys, I just want to point out a fact to you. And that is, I actually, with my own money, have gone out and purchased products from Mike. And until tonight, Mike didn't even know that I had done that. And, and I'm going to tell you, Mike, what's the best compliment you can give someone, especially someone who has content that they put out and that they teach. And that is, I didn't buy one product from Mike. I think I purchased 3, maybe 4 of your products at multiple different times. And that is the best compliment you can give to someone, because you had enough value in the product that you bought the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th time. So I've actually purchased multiple products from you, and until tonight you actually didn't know that. So folks, when I tell you that the content which you're going to get is awesome, it is. One of the products is one of the bonuses, and I'm telling you, it's a absolutely fantastic product. And I'm telling you this from personal experience. So the bonuses that we're going to offer for everyone who gets started is this. Alicia and myself, we're going to do what we call a fast track mastermind. What we're going to do is this. We're going to do a call. It'll probably be next week. And what we're going to do on that call is we're going to help you fast track through the content and also help you mastermind, but most importantly, implementation. The most important thing is no matter how good the content is, does you no good until you take action and implement. So you're actually going to be able to watch over my shoulder as we go through some of the information and give you some strategies to take what Mike is teaching you and then implement and put it into action. So when you have the group calls with Mike and you go through the coaching, you're going to be way more ahead and be able to not only join those calls and talk intelligently, but ask the questions that will help you get to the next level, because we're going to help you fast track to that point. So if you take action and you get started today, that is the bonus that we're going to give you. And what I want you to understand also is you're going to get this information through the eyes of someone. I've been doing local and offline business consulting since 1997. I'm an old dog when it comes to local businesses, so I know and understand that market. And I'm going to tell you something. There's things that Mike was telling you today that I'm like, man, he hit it right on the nose, man. Everything you were saying, I was like, man, that's another great point. So I'm coming from someone who's in the industry, someone who's in the know-how. So when we help you fast track, that's the eyes you're going to be seeing that through. So you definitely want to take action. And if you do that, you're going to get this awesome bonus from myself and Alicia.
That's awesome.
Now,
that's
cool.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're right. It's all about taking action, right? I mean, it's one thing to learn this stuff. It's a whole other thing to implement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, cool. Well, again, so that's you know, my fast action bonus again for the people midnight Eastern time tomorrow, and again, you know, love the decisiveness. So that's our reward. I do want to tell you, upsells, cross sells, down sells. Oh my! I do want to tell you, for those of you who do end up purchasing the R4 system, I always like to just tell you there are some options that you will be presented with, and they are totally options. And I just like to say this up front because, you know, people can get ticked off when they see, oh, geez, I'm getting hit over the head with upsells. It's not to hit you over the head with upsells. It's just a couple of things that I have found that people ask for, and so we put in there as options. If you want to take advantage of them, it's not necessary, but some people find it helpful. So one is some email coaching with me. People ask me to do, you know, if I do one-on-one coaching with them, and my schedule just does not allow for me to do one-on-one coaching, you know, where I get on the phone with somebody and take up those hours out of the day. But if you email me questions, I will do email coaching where I will, you know, answer you personally and specific to your issue. And that's easier for me because I can do it late at night or early in the morning or in between things or whatever. The other one is just access to our Summit Club, which our Summit Club is just like kind of like our ongoing just kind of coaching and training thing. We've got just a ton more amazing training. We do live calls every month with our members, and it just provides some kind of continuity for people, you know, looking to just learn more about how to be successful in this industry. And everything there, again, 1-year satisfaction guarantee. So again, not a high-pressure pitch there on those things. It's just if those seem like things that will help you get the most out of the program, then they are there as options. Okay, so there's the link right there. Again, fast action deadline, and you know, I hope that everybody got something out of this presentation. It may just be a shift in how you're thinking about your selling, a shift in how you're thinking about approaching your clients. Those things can make a massive, massive difference. And I hope that, you know, everybody got something out of it that they can take and use. And like I said, if you know, sales is something that you feel like you need help with, absolutely would be honored to work with you and see what we can do to help you out. Okay. So on that note, I know I've kept you guys here quite a long time. I get long-winded, and I apologize. But I do want to make sure that I answer any questions that are out there. Greg and Alicia, is that okay if I hop over to that Google Doc and answer any questions?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cool. And you guys, yeah, you guys can feel free. I know, you know, like I said, I keep you here a long time. If you guys need to go do anything, I'll sit here and answer questions.
No, we love it. Greg and I are texting back and forth as you're going through your presentation, so we're excited about it. We're excited to be part of it and to go through it. So thanks so much.
Good deal. Absolutely. Well, thank you. All right. So, okay, everybody, here's looks like we got some good questions that have come in here. So I'll start going through these here. Karen says, I don't have a clue what to sell or the niche to work with. Do you have any suggestions? Okay. Well, Karen, you know, I showed you that service alignment guide. You probably asked this before the service alignment guide. There are industries that I think are better than others to go out and approach, certainly, just because marketing tends to be more responsive and effective for them, and they tend to have more money to be able to spend towards marketing. They tend to value marketing, things like that. So, you know, there are certain industries that I think are better than others, and really it's up to you to kind of pick, you know, a strategic area of focus. So let's just use it as an example. Let's say that you are going to make, you know, the daily deals program a critical part of what you do for your clients. Well, you know, daily deals tend to work better for certain industries. You know, I can't imagine, like, I don't think there are very many law firms or accounting firms out there using daily deals. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong again. I'm not an expert in that. I'm learning, you know, here myself. But, you know, certain industries are going to be better than others. So what I just suggest is that, you know, look for industries where other people are already having success, okay? People are already making good money with restaurants, with hotels, with elective medical services, with home-related services, right? Those are all proven markets. Pick one that you think you resonate with and just dive into it, okay? Dive into it and commit to it, all right? And then use that service alignment guide. Again, you'll realize what to sell, because when you're selling to a restaurant, let's say you're selling to restaurants over and over and over again, there's only really so many services that a restaurant needs, you know, and so you can start to, you know, understand, okay, here are the critical services that I'm going to deliver to my vertical. But man, I can't stress enough, people, pick a vertical and focus on it. You will become an expert in that vertical, and that is so important. And actually, there's another question about that right down here that I'll answer in a minute here. James says, what kind of businesses are you having a high-level R4 conversation with? You can't have that kind of conversation with a plumber because they have no time, right? No, James, I don't agree with that. I mean, plumbers got 24 hours in the day, just like every other business owner does. You're going to find plenty of plumbers that are not strategic at all, and they're just the guys running around in their van. And you're also going to find plumbers in every market that have big plumbing companies. And there's a handful of them here in Denver that probably have 200, 300 people working for them, making big money, you know, $50 million companies. Believe me, those guys get marketing. Holy cow, they're running jingles on the radio constantly, TV commercials constantly. You see their branded trucks driving around everywhere. They're marketers. They get it. So you go and have a conversation with them. Believe me, they'll understand, and they'll pay you the money you're worth. So, you know, again, that comes down to have the right conversation with the right people, right? Don't waste your time with just the little guys, okay? So let's see here. Ron says, why is it important to concentrate on one vertical? Aren't you going to end up marketing or advertising against yourself when you go the vertical route? So Ron, this is my favorite question probably, because people really need to understand this. So yes, if you were doing SEO for 2 plumbers, both in Denver, then yeah, you would be kind of competing against yourself, right? But that's just SEO. There are so many other services that you can be offering your clients. Don't limit yourself to just SEO. In fact, SEO is my least favorite service that you can offer. So you know, don't limit yourself. But most importantly, just because you are doing local marketing does not mean that you can only sell to businesses that are local to you. You can provide your local marketing services to clients anywhere around the world. I have clients all over the world, okay? So I can deliver my services to anybody. By going after one vertical, you get tremendous benefits. And let me just list off a few of them here real quick. One, you get to be a specialist in marketing to them, okay? Your marketing materials in your pitch gets honed in so that it resonates to them specifically, and they respond to it. You get to know them. You get to know what works for them, right? Way too many people are out there marketing just to small businesses in general, and so your marketing message is just lame. It's watered down, okay? So that's one thing. It's called a message to market match, right? And the next thing is a product or a solution to market match. And what I mean by that is, again, if you're delivering services to plumbers and you're delivering services to restaurants, it's going to be different services. So what happens is if you're dealing with a plumber one day and a restaurant the next day, you're kind of getting caught, you know, in this back and forth between trying to provide different types of services, and you never really get really operationally efficient at any one. You never really get that service really nailed down, and that costs you in all kinds of ways. It costs you in being distracted. It costs you in taking longer time to deliver those services. It costs you in financial, you know, inefficiency. One of the reasons that we've been able to crush it in our market is our services are actually so automated because we've done them so many times over and over and over again that it's almost impossible for people to match what we do in our particular space, okay? So we've just got it so dialed in. And then the last major benefit is channels, marketing channels. If you're going after restaurants, they have restaurant magazines they read. They have restaurant trade shows they attend. There's lists of restaurant owners, right? So those are channels that you can market through to reach those verticals very, very efficiently, which brings your costs of acquiring new customers down, okay? So I hope that helps you, Ron, and I encourage everybody to focus on a vertical. Karen says, Mike, you explained this more clearly than anyone I've ever heard. Thank you, Karen. I'm more excited about working with companies than I felt in a long time. That's good. I've been so frustrated and really sick of everything. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thanks for saying that. I really appreciate it. Hector says, how do you prove that you can deliver what you pitch using the R4 sales system? How do I deliver? Hector, honestly, that's outside of the scope of this presentation. It's outside of the scope of the R4 training, and I want to make that clear. The R4 training is on selling. It's not on delivery, okay? Delivery, there's all kinds of fantastic products out there on how to deliver, and I think that you need to go find the right ones for the services that you're delivering, right? If you're going to deliver daily deals, then work with Alicia on her system, right? If you are going to deliver pay-per-click lead gen, work with Joe Troyer. I think he's got an amazing system for that. So you still need to go and find those systems for the delivery side of things, okay? Paul says, I'd like to know if I'm selling different services, will the scripts in the R4 sales system apply? Yes, Paul, because the systems are not, the scripts are not at a specific service level, okay? They are above that. Services are a tactical level. The scripts are at a strategic level. Okay. By the time you're talking about the specific services that you need to deliver, that's pretty darn easy. I mean, it's pretty. It's hey, you're having a hard time with reach. Here's the best way to reach more customers in this marketplace. Here's why. So that's what we're going to do for you. It becomes very, very simple. Okay. Eva says, how do you position yourself as an expert when you're just getting started in this area? That's a great question. It's a big question, right, because there's lots of things that go into positioning yourself as an expert. The conversations you have, how you present yourself. Do you dress well when you go to those in-person meetings? Do you have nice business cards? Does your website look good? All of those things contribute to that. And I think what's important is that you consciously consider all of those factors for yourself, right? I mean, most people don't really sit down and think about, hey, how am I coming across to people that I meet? Am I coming across as a professional, as an expert? And what do I need to change to really make sure that I'm doing that? So, and it is all of those things. It's how you dress, it's how you present yourself, it's how you speak, right? Do you speak with confidence? Do you speak with authority about your subject matter? Because an expert doesn't waffle, right? An expert doesn't speak, timidly and weakly about their area of expertise, right? So go look at other experts and think about how you model them. How do they come across, right? But I think part of your question, Eva, is it sounds like there's a little bit of a confidence issue. Like, hey, I'm just getting started. I don't know that I am an expert, right? So there's a couple of things. I mean, one, the scripts in the R4 system, again, are designed so that you should be able to speak to anybody about marketing with a level of confidence. Okay, it's all written out for you. Okay, so that's a big part of that. Again, is to give you confidence and to give the prospect confidence. Okay, so a lot of it is just in that language and that conversation and how comfortable you are with that. So you go through those conversation scripts, you practice them, and go to your meetings looking sharp, right? Feeling confident, giving a firm handshake, all of those things contribute to it. One of the things that frustrates me so much about this industry is there's so many people out there that think because we're doing like internet marketing stuff that they've bought into that whole idea. Well, that means I can just wear like jeans and t-shirt and not comb my hair and all that type of stuff because that's what internet marketers do. They just work on their computers. So they'll go out and meet with clients looking like that, and it's like, no, you are a professional service provider. You need to look sharp, right? Put on your sports coat. Go out and meet with that client and actually look like a presentable professional, okay? Um, Timothy says, are those types of businesses on that high level you talk strategically the same types of businesses that you're looking to do a deal site with? Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was talking to Alicia on one of her students just the other day, and he's crushing it by going after bigger clients. He's crushing it by going after clients that he can do $50,000 to $100,000 of business with, and absolutely. I mean, look at all the businesses, look at all the big companies that are out there marketing on the daily deal sites. Massive brands are taking advantage of those daily deal sites. So yeah, absolutely. And look, when you get those clients, it's so natural to use the R4 conversation to then upsell them to other services and cross-sell them to other services. Like, it's just such a natural thing. Like, hey, we just did a great thing for you. We got lots of customers out there. We improved your reach. Now we need to make sure that we're thinking about your resell, so that you're bringing those customers in over and over again. Let's put together that SMS marketing system now to make sure that we're bringing those customers we just got back in the door. All right. Nora says, can you explain the second R again? Sure, the second R is reach, assuming you're talking from the bottom up, reputation then reach. So reach is just making sure that you're getting more visibility for your prospects. Right? Most small businesses do nothing to market their business out there and reach more people. They do no proactive outbound marketing. Maybe they bought a Yellow Pages ad and they just have it sitting there and that's it. But they're not out there, doing anything else to try and get exposure. So that reach is just doing what you can to try and get them exposure, trying to get the awareness of their products and services out there to more of the target audience that they're going after. Okay. Let's see here. Karen says, how much of this prospecting can be done via phone, email, webinar, Skype? All of it can. All of it can, Karen. Our entire sales process at Kutenda is 100% over the phone, email, webinar, Skype. We actually never meet with our clients in person because we sell all over the world. Now, I tell people that if you can do an in-person meeting, it's great because I think that there's a connection that you get with people in person that you don't get over the phone. So, especially if you're a more junior salesperson, that in-person connection can really help you be a little more successful. So I think it's great to do that if you can and if you want to. But look, if you don't want to, just do the whole process over the phone. Do it all virtually. Use GoToMeeting, Skype, whatever you want to do. Eva says, is there a client attraction or lead generation process at the front end like we use with deal sites? Yes. So I give you all kinds of marketing materials, direct mail pieces, presentations, webinars, all of that good stuff that you can use to attract prospects. Absolutely. I'm a big believer in using marketing to attract your prospects. Okay. Joseph, your presentation was excellent. Thank you very much, Joseph. But after you convince the business owner about all the services, do you have recommendations about who to contact to provide those services? Yes, Joseph. So I do make recommendations. That's in our Rolodex that we give you. I think obviously it's important that you still reach out to them, you vet them yourself, but yeah, I do give you recommendations. Okay. Nora says, how can we reach clients who are already selling on deal sites to engage us? How can we reach clients who are already selling on deal sites to engage us? I think you're asking, Nora, if I see a company that is already marketing on a deal site, how can I reach out to them in a way to say, hey, I see you're doing that and that's great, but you should come work with me because I can help you do it better, or I can help you add additional services to make that more effective. I think that's what you're asking. So in that case, if I see somebody that's marketing on a deal site, to me that says that's a perfect prospect to go after because they at least understand the value of marketing, right? They're making an effort to reach out to more customers. Okay, so that's a great sign. So I mean, there's lots of ways to reach out to them. Good old email, phone call. But in our in the R4 system, like I said, we give you direct mail pieces, and we give you what we call a shook, which is a short book. We've put together a really, really nice professional book that explains the R4 system and why every business needs to optimize those 4 Rs. And you can use that book. You put your branding on it, your name on it, as if you're the author, and you send that out to those businesses as a prospecting piece. So we give you tools like that to help you reach out to those prospects to try and convert them into opportunities. Okay. So we give you lots of marketing pieces, lots of firepower there. So it looks like that is the end of the questions, which is good because I've kept you here for 2 hours. It's time to get you back to your life. But I thank everybody for being here. Great questions. And again, I hope everybody got something good out of it. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Greg, for letting me be here. And I think on that note, we can probably wrap it up. I don't know if you have anything else you guys want to say.
Yeah, you know what? We want to thank you. First of all, the content is fantastic, folks. Mike's laid out a good plan, good foundation. All you have to do now is take action. And believe me, from someone who's in the industry, everything Mike said is right on target. I mean, I love the 4 R's. This is awesome thinking, and it differentiates you from everyone else. And what you have to do in your business, and this is what I learned years and years ago when I first started out working with businesses, is I needed to decommoditize what I was doing because there was too many people who were based on price. And I learned years and years ago I had to stop selling by price because there was too many people who can come and undercut me. And now it's about the value. And it's going in and asking questions. Mike, I bet you when you meet with the client, or when your guys talk with clients, I bet you there's so many questions being asked, it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much all about questions, yep.
Yeah, and there's a principle that I live by and I teach my kids, and that is this: the quality of your life will be based on the quality of your questions.
Yep.
And the more questions you ask, they see that you are engaged and you're thinking about their business, and so the business owner has this comfort level, and that's who they're looking to work for because it shows that you care. That's why this system works so well. So what you want to do, folks, is take action. You know, I give this total thumbs up. If I can throw in a couple toes, I would do it as well. You know, because I only have 2 thumbs. God only gave me 2. So great concept, great product. Like I said, we've got the bonus that we're going to throw in for you guys, so you definitely want to get started so you can join us on that call. And you guys, you know, you've worked with us for a while, so you know when I tell you we're going to do a call with you, it's going to be good. And we wouldn't recommend Mike unless Mike was absolutely awesome and on the up and up and the content was good, because we don't like to put our name behind things that aren't great. So this gets our total thumbs up. So guys, take action. I don't know if Alicia is still with us, but
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay, there you are. Okay.
I love all the comments. I'm just reading the comments that came in. So I love Ebby's comment that Mike, she's going to, or he, I'm not sure, is going to see you on the inside. So if you're in and you're in Mike's program, you've just signed up, let him know. Just, you know, just type see you on the inside in the question box so that we can send it to Mike, and definitely let Mike know what you think about, what you thought about his presentation today. It was absolutely awesome. We were all blown away, and I want to pass that feedback on to Mike. So it was fabulous, Mike. I'm reading what, let's see, Karen said, this was fabulous. Thank you so much. John said, great job, Mike. Bala said, thank you. Great webinar. Marion says, thank you, Mike. We just have them all coming in. Karen says, fabulous. So absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Mike, you said something too that really caught my attention today. It was about, is it any harder to sell a larger client versus a smaller client? And I will tell you something. What I found is one of the biggest projects we've ever had, it was an $84,000 project. And I will tell you, it took the same amount of time to get that client as it did to get a $2,000 and $3,000 client. The sales process was no different. Think about this. If you walk into a car dealer to buy a Lamborghini, or someone who walks in to buy a Chevette, they're probably in the car dealer the same amount of time, because the person who has $10 million sitting in the bank says, let me go get this car, let me fill out the paperwork, okay, I'm done. Same thing as the person who's at the lower end. So why play at the end where there is no money when it's not any harder or easier to sell at the other end?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just so 100% agree with that. And in fact, it's oftentimes harder to sell at the other end, and longer and slower, right? Because they can afford it less.
Absolutely.
And because there's oftentimes, it's like on the lower end, you're having to make 2 sales. You're having to sell them first on the idea that they should even be doing marketing, right? The real small businesses, a lot of them don't even think they should be. They think it's just a waste of money and it doesn't work for me. And then you have to sell them on doing the marketing with you. Whereas with a more successful company, they're already sold. They know they have to do marketing. There's no company in the world that is successful that does not do marketing, right? So, you know, they understand they have to do marketing, so there's only one sell. The sell is, should they be working with you? And, you know, that just makes everything that much easier.
Absolutely. You know, I'll tell you who's at the lower end. It's the business owner who says, I don't need to advertise. They know where I am. And then it's the other group of business owners that say, I don't need any more clients. That's who waits for you at the lower end if that's the target market you go after.
Yep.
You know, I'd rather go to the business owner who says, I need everything I can get.
Yep.
You know, I saw an ad today for McDonald's on Facebook. Why would McDonald's, one of the top most known, recognized brands in the world, advertise? Because they understand that principle. Those are the business owners you want to go after because they will pay you handsomely. So,
right.
Alicia, is there any other comments in there that you wanted to read off right quick, or did we lose her? Nope.
No, I'm reading through just the excellent presentations. Thank you, excellent. This was fabulous. I'm in. So excited. Yeah, it's really good. We had a really great time with you here tonight, Mike, and thanks for spending your time with us.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate
it. It was great fun. Thank you very much. And we'll see all those new people on the inside, and I'll definitely look forward to working with you guys.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Mike, you are the man. Thank you for being on. Guys, thank you for being on today. We want to thank you guys for being on this webinar, and we will see you guys on the other side.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.